daigdig at tayo'y di magkasalubong. Dapat na ba akong makinig? Magpadala na sa galuyong. Inano din ako sa halos hindi ka na matanaw. Pagtapos mabalot ng galos, ikaw pa rin ay ikaw. Bangking ang laot, walang takot at tatawirin. Kahit anong ay umabot sa papawirin. Sa mga ako'y pinangako ang kakarating. Ikaw lang ay mapiling. Gagawin ko ang lahat upang sa'yo. Kung kailan kong tahakin ang kilomet, kilomet, kilomet ko tayo. Kilomet, kilomet, kilomet ko tayo. Kilomet, kilomet, kilomet ko tayo. Bangking ang laot, walang takot at tatawirin. Kahit ano ay umabot sa papawirin. Sa mga ako'y pinangako ang kakarating. Ikaw lang ay makapiling. Gagawin ko ang lahat upang sa'yo. Kung kailan kong tahakin ang kilomet, kilomet, kilomet ko tayo. Kilomet, kilomet, kilomet ko tayo. Kilomet, kilomet, kilomet ko
You're listening to a special episode of Kahit, Saan here on Jeepney Cafe, only on 100.5 CFRO Vancouver's Co-op Radio. I'm your host for tonight, Lou. And for those who have tuned in the past couple of months, I'm going to have to make a formal apology. I know that a lot of you were anticipating we would have the first episode of the drama out. Unfortunately, we came across a couple of technical difficulties in that we were missing some files and unfortunately won't be able to replace them until a later time. But with that said, we will be back next month on February 18th to premiere the first episode of the drama. So make sure that you tune in at 5 o'clock p.m. here on Jeepney Cafe. But regardless, today we do have a fun show lined up for you guys. We will be looking at the music that inspired the writing of this song, and we also have a special guest in with us today. We'll say hi to this guest in just a second, but off the top of the show, I just want to give a shout out to the songs that we did play. The first song being Hahanapin Ko by Aegis, which is where the title of the drama actually came from, if you guys wanted to listen to it and look for the Easter egg. And the second is Kilometro by Sarah Geronimo. If you guys want to check out the music that we will be playing today, you can always go on coopradio.org and listen back to our episode, or we'll actually have a playlist curated that we'll have available on our social media. So check us out on Instagram and Twitter at Kahit Saan Paman. That's KAHITSAANPAMAN. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our guest of the evening. She is one of the people that has been acting for us and has generously given her time to coming in today and talking about her experience as an actor. So without further ado, give a warm welcome to Jen Suratos.
Hello.
Woo!
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for coming in today.
bet.
I know it was a little bit of a short notice considering
No.
it was a week before. But how are you doing today?
Great, just great. I'm glad to be here.
And it's your first time coming in here, right?
It
if I'm
is.
correct.
It's my first time here. It's very impressive.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, like a little bit about your background?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm a singer mainly, and
cool.
I learned about the show from a friend of ours, Megan, and she sent me towards the audition notice, and she said, check this out. It's going to be a cool new Filipino drama. And she said right away, you don't have to speak Tagalog, which was good for me because I don't speak Tagalog.
But you are like ethnically Filipino.
I
right?
am, yes. I'm the only one in my family born here, so I'm real Canadian, but yeah, my family is all from Philippines. And yeah, I've been singing since I was 14 and acting on stages for the last 20, 25 years.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's a long time, yeah.
Yeah, when I was actually talking to Megan about you, she had told me like you are one of the few actors of color here in Vancouver that's always working.
Yeah.
So when you sent in your application, I'm just like, oh my goodness, this is amazing to have somebody that has so much experience be involved. And we'll get to talking about your experience as an actor later.
Okay.
But it's really exciting to have you here. Thank you so much. Just to reiterate, yes, we are talking about the music that inspires the writing of the show today. As some of you listeners may have remembered from past shows, I am a musician myself, so a lot of the show was a lot of the characterizations was very grounded on specific music that I found inspiring. So for the first songs, Hahanapin Ko and Kilometro, they kind of have overlaying themes of wherever you may be, I will go to you and find you. And it's kind of the old trope of how love will overcome whatever obstacles comes your way, right?
It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean that's an important thing too. If you think about the theme of this entire drama, there's a lot that has to do with distance, especially considering that the theme is, we have immigration as one of the biggest themes covered in this show. Have you ever, for yourself, had to deal with anything regarding that, or?
The most I've dealt with a long distance anything was when my husband went away, and he did a contract. It was just over on the island. It was just over in Chemainus. But it was 5 months, and
wow.
he came back a lot, but it's just not the same.
Yeah.
And I think today with, FaceTime and texting and everything, we don't realize how far the distances are because we're so in communication. I mean, from here to the Philippines is a long distance.
Oh,
but-
yeah.
So, yeah, and it's just, he did come home quite often, but it's hard to live your day-to-day life and then have somebody gone, and then, maybe he's home for the weekend and your whole life kind of changes for 3 days and then he's gone again. So, yeah, it's definitely a theme that I think is really relatable.
Well, I mean, even just beyond sort of romantic relationships, even when you're talking about friendships or family, I know for me growing up, I was definitely, or our family moved around a lot.
Right.
And my mother would always be living, or not always, but for the majority of my teenage years, my mother was living in a completely different country.
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah.
Did it make you into a grumpy teenager? Did you?
Oh my gosh. But I was like the stereotypical, like, oh, no one understands me kind of thing. And then you realize just it really does make an impact in your relationship, because then I would try to explain to my friends, oh yeah, but my mom's trying to parent me from like thousands of miles away. And there definitely is a difference between being physically there and even trying to maintain contact, because even after a while, like, yeah, you mentioned there's FaceTime and there's like Facebook and things like that, but those are things that we can choose to turn off.
Totally.
And I think one of the most important things in a relationship, in any kind of relationship, is understanding that the other person, they're valid. You know, you can't turn that off.
Yes.
And in any case, you really shouldn't.
No.
But anyway, so yes, you are playing one of the main characters in the show, Katherine, without giving too much away. So you do take a big role in this. So when I was writing this drama, I was actually looking to see whether or not I could find any influences, like any sort of type of person of interest that already existed in this world as a prototype. And it was actually weirdly hard, because it's still kind of a new experience to have like somebody to they have immigrant parents, but then they grew up themselves here in North America.
Right.
Because I can only imagine, like, for you and your siblings, your experiences growing up were different.
Yes, very. Yeah. I mean, my family moved here. My eldest sister was 5, so we really identify with being Canadian. And my parents especially made a big push to speak English and just, they're making their new life here. So Philippines was always this, unknown entity for us. We didn't really speak it. We were connected, but not connected.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting getting into the character because, it was really relatable. except that, my mom, again, without giving a lot away, she speaks to me in Tagalog, which of course you had to translate for me because I couldn't do that. My mom doesn't do that. My parents didn't speak to us in Tagalog. So even just there, language.
Definitely. I mean, that's one thing to point out as well. Like, there is actually a big push for, at least I find with Filipino families, that the children have to speak English to succeed, and that's totally understandable. But in that sense, you kind of lose the capabilities of actually speaking and understanding.
You do, and it's not something I think I realized or regretted until much later in my life, because it's so hard to go back and pick it up. But it's a big chunk of my heritage that I really will not tap into fully.
Well, I know some people like to go to their the motherland and try to reconnect with that. Have you ever considered doing something like that? Or?
Maybe I have considered it, but I'm like, I have to go with my mom so she can just be my translator the whole time. So
yeah, no, that's totally understandable. Anyway, upon that search, I actually did find somebody, which was actually it was kind of a godsend, and it kind of brought me back to just being here and being a guest in Balikbayan Mixtape and just Jeepney Cafe, because this artist I actually found through Kuya John, who he hosts Balikbayan Mixtape. And when I first met him, he was just like, I think it'd be really cool if you guys check out these artists, because he's all about Filipino music.
Nice. And
one of them was Rocky Rivera. So I find her very interesting. She's very... she's very much about yes, we are Filipino, take pride in that, but also a lot of her music surrounds the issues that's going on. So she's a very politically driven artist, and she's done songs about the shooting with Mike Brown and stuff like that. So I felt like at the most part, the character that she puts on as an artist was somewhat of a basis that I could find, that it could have for Katherine. Anyway, with that said, the next song is actually by Rocky Rivera. It's one of her more fun songs, but I feel like it's a really good way to introduce people into that sort of identity, into the first generation, second generation Filipino North American experience. So yeah.
Never been a prom queen or a crow killer. Run away, hit or stay illa, pop killer. Round the way, girl, smarter than the average. Freedom over everything, hustle over marriage. Daddy was a sailor in the military navy. Mama was a nurse and they had 3 babies. 3 bad girls, I'm the youngest in the trio. Peace to all my people with a drop of Filipino when they blood, cause you a warrior. 3rd world resident, fuck off MC, cause my gender is irrelevant. Sugar and spice on the mic, yeah, I'm so nice. Barking loud through the fence, but they don't bite. They distracted by my pretty disposition. I smile and steal their heart, all they gotta do is listen. Only spit the realest and you used to artificial, so no wonder other real people ain't with ya. It ain't no way, it ain't no way, it ain't no way, it ain't no way, cause there ain't no stopping us, ain't no stopping us, ain't no stopping us. It ain't no way, it ain't no way, it ain't no way, it ain't no way, cause there ain't no stopping us, ain't no stopping us, ain't no stopping us. Instagram model shooting flicks like a pistol, out looking fat but they talent's very little, and that's just the way they like it. Put up or shut up, ugly motherfuckers paying money to get cut up. I can do it for you if you got some insecurities. That's the reason why I'm always beefing with security. They don't really like me, I don't really like them. This is my party, who the fuck invited them? I don't give a damn about a motherfucking industry. Guest list, if get rushed, they my enemy. We be rocking bullets, floating Jamie in the bag. Brass knuckles is my jewelry. Why you mad if you hating on the swag? Getting jelly at the club, or them trolls in the blog world. Internet thugs, hook up on these notes. I'm alone to all these bucks, make it rain in the hood like Robin. It's a must. It ain't no way, it ain't no way, it ain't no way, it ain't no way, cause hold up? We don't like that. When the pushing come to shoving, yeah, we fight back. Yo, what's the lowdown? Cause we don't play nice. And if you think you number one, better think twice. What's the hold up? We don't like that. When the pushing come to shoving, yeah, we fight back. Yo, what's the lowdown? Cause we don't play nice. And if you think you number one, it ain't no way, it ain't no way, it ain't no way, it ain't no way. Cause there ain't no stopping us, ain't no stopping us, ain't no stopping us. It ain't no way, it ain't no way, it ain't no way, it ain't no way. Cause there ain't no stopping us, ain't no stopping us, ain't no stopping us.
Je contemple les avions par la fenêtre, baroudé, moi qui veux m'évader, je n'ai jamais eu envie de me soumettre à ces êtres aux idées érodées. Je veux pouvoir voir d'autres jours naître. La ligne de ma main me le dira peut-être. Je dois suivre le phare car mon âme est maître, mais j'ai peur de toucher le fond juste à quelques mètres. Et je n'ai pas envie de partir, même s'il n'y a rien pour me retenir. Je n'ai pas envie de souffrir. J'ai pris un aller simple charter pour ne plus revenir. Even me, even me, even me, even me. Sweet and bad, heavily, even me, even me. Je porte ce masque pour ressembler aux autres. Un garçon manqué, une fille pas comme les autres. Je m'attends au pire et je supporte. J'en ai marre de faire semblant que je suis forte. Donc je fais la morte pour ne pas mourir. Faut que je m'en sorte pour fermer ce chapitre. Algérie, même s'il y a de la poussière sur ce thème, sache que malgré tout je t'aime. Et je n'ai pas envie de partir, même s'il n'y a rien pour me retenir. Je n'ai pas envie de souffrir.
You're listening to Jeepney Cafe here on 100.5 CFRO Vancouver's Co-op Radio. If you're just tuning in and you are a little confused as to why I'm speaking and not having any characters or any sort of dramatization, you're actually listening into a special episode. At the beginning of the episode, I mentioned that we had a few technical difficulties, and so we have unfortunately had to push the premiere of the first episode to February 18th. So please tune in then on Jeepney Cafe at 5 o'clock p.m. here on 100.5 CFRO Vancouver's Co-op Radio. So the two songs we just played there, as I mentioned before, Ain't No Way by Rocky Rivera, basically kind of the prototype of one of the main characters. And the second song, if you noticed, was not actually in Tagalog or English. It is actually by a Canadian artist named Zaho, who came over to Canada when she was 18 years old from Algeria. And the song, my French is a little rusty, but the song basically talks about having to leave one set of beliefs and entering into a different set of beliefs. In her case, it was kind of a more patriarchal world, being from Algeria, and then her being liberated a little bit more here in Canada. We find that with a lot of immigrant stories, especially here in Canada, where the concept isn't necessarily to have a melting pot, but more of a mosaic, we're able to sustain a little bit more some of the belief sets that we've held on to from the previous world that which we came. And particularly for me, I found that trying to juggle the two, being Filipino, but also growing up here in North America, it's a little bit difficult, to say the least. Definitely, it affects the way that you maneuver around certain relationships, bringing out certain parts of you more so than others, depending on who you're with. We have here, again, just as a reminder, our guest of the show tonight, Jen Suratos, who is also Filipino-Canadian, but grew up here and, was born here and grew up here. So Jen, how did you feel growing up? Did you ever have to kind of juggle the two identities as much as your older siblings have? Or?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was a little bit easier because, there's 5 kids in my family, and I was the youngest, was certainly the most protected, and they took care of me. And because of our schooling, we went to Catholic school our whole life, which, was there was a lot of Filipinos, but a lot of other nationalities too. And you're right about it being, a mosaic and a melting pot, because there was just so much diversity, so much so that even today in Vancouver, I'm surprised by people who are surprised that I'm not white, or my visible minority, face is such a standout sometimes, especially in theater, which I do a lot of. So as you said earlier, it's kind of an anomaly to have so much, not as much diversity on stage, which is too bad. But this, growing up, I never felt like I was, so left out, stuck out so much. But that's because I had a big family, and I still have a big family, so they took care of me.
And you mentioned, so you have been doing theater for 25 years?
Yeah, a long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
And well, in Vancouver, I find that there is quite a bit more diversity.
I think so.
Specifically with younger actors, they're the ones that I've come across. There have been some comments about being a minority. It's that much harder to get roles and stuff like that. So how would you say that for you, your identity as a person of color, as a woman of color, actually, affected at least getting roles in storytelling and your creative work?
Yeah, it's tricky because there's a lot of shows where, it's integral to the plot line that, it's a family, and if the mom and the dad are white, then of course the kids have to be white. So there was a lot of times where I couldn't, for those reasons be in it. But I think living in Vancouver, growing up in Vancouver, the world today is, that stuff disappears. You just believe that, if somebody has an Asian daughter, who cares? It's not really a big deal. So I think part of the problem is that there's not a lot of there's not a lot of stories for us, and sometimes it takes a lot to change the outlook, but we're getting there for sure. I work with a bunch of people who, one director in particular, David C. Jones, he makes it as kind of his mission to have as many diverse people on stage. One of the best gigs that I had actually was not on stage, but I was a roving performer for the 2010 Olympics.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So it was just so random. When he came to me with the idea, he was like, this is what I have in mind. So he, kind of got hired to hire performers to perform for the fans waiting outside before the gates opened. So we did this little trio. It was the three, me and two other girls, and we were like the Supremes. We did all Supremes songs,
wow.
which is funny. But we were the Ice Supremes because it was the Winter Olympics. And we had these crazy, I don't know, we kind of looked like icicles and stuff. But he was really adamant. He left it up to me to do the casting, and he was really adamant about having, diverse women. So it ended up being myself and my friend Sabrina, who is, she's American Canadian, but she looks, I don't know, maybe what her real background is. I guess she's white. And my friend Sharon, who's Chinese. And he thought it was really important for, the world coming to see the Olympics to have representation from diverse people singing at the Olympics. And it was an amazing gig. And yeah, I think he and lots of others are slowly changing what we think is normal to see in a family on stage, quote unquote, normal. So.
Well, you touched on the fact that a lot of it has to do with the lack of content that's created specifically towards that. Do you find then that in your experience that you've ever had to be casted for another sort of ethnicity group as a result? Or because I know there's some Filipinos, they'll be able to take upon, for example, Hispanic roles and things like that. So
yeah, it's a very good question, and the short answer is yes. So I've played Black women a lot. I've played Tina Turner and Oprah Winfrey, and so I guess maybe the idea is it should be, if you can't get the true, I don't know, real that nationality, it would just be good to have somebody diverse. And I think that maybe I pulled it off in a respectful way, and it was well received. But yeah, it's interesting though, because when we talk about stories that are specifically, I don't know, Filipino or Asian or there's not many, but there's also a lot of quote unquote white, typical white stories that don't necessarily need to be white. In a couple of years ago, I was in Into the Woods, and the central story is just a couple, a man and a woman trying to have a baby. And so they go and they try and get all these things for this potion to, please the witch and all that. But the central story is a family. It doesn't matter if they were white or not. And that was a unique situation because I actually played opposite my husband.
Oh.
So it was really cool to be on stage. My husband is white, if that matters at all. It didn't on stage and so of course when people came to see it, and we marketed it as that, to be it's an actual married couple as opposed to a biracial couple. So it was cool.
And would you say that, of course, because there are so many different types of mediums right now, and so many new and upcoming artists from each individual medium, that the content is coming in better kind of quantities. I wouldn't want to say qualities because of course when you're talking about new types of stories being developed, of course there's kind of a learning curve for a lot of people. But I think one of the things that's important right now would be the quantity, just to have that visibility, right?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, for sure. And it's just going to get better because I think everyone's sort of aware of the problem or challenge, and it's just going to get better, which is great. So it's a great time to be, me in Vancouver, a minority, a visible minority, because I don't actually know if we're minorities anymore. There's a lot of Filipinos and Asians around, so that's good.
I mean, Vancouver is kind of its own little world. Trying to describe it to people who aren't from here, and then having them kind of see just how diverse it is, and just how many people that are of Asian ethnic background that just live here.
That's
and
right.
a lot of people are actually quite surprised. You say, oh, I'm from Canada, so a lot of people kind of anticipate, oh, you're usually in more of a white setting, which it is a fair it's a fair guess to make, considering yes, Vancouver is very diverse, but if you look at the rest of Canada, the majority of people are still of a European background.
Agreed. Yeah.
And so you say that you say that you used to be a singer.
Yes. So I probably like identify first as a singer.
Okay.
Then as
and
an
you said you
actor.
were Into the Woods, so that's a musical.
Yes.
As
Yeah.
far- so I'm gonna guess that you've done more musical theater, or
Yes, I've done lots more musical theater than I have straight shows. So, yeah, so singing is my thing. I've been doing it for a long time. It's it's one of those things where the theater community, you do one show, you meet friends, of course, they're so great. You want to do another show with them, and it just takes off. So I don't have any formal training. I took like maybe a year and a half of formal voice lessons when I was a teenager, but doing theater and being on stage and singing has been my training. And there's no better way, really.
So how did you end up making that transition from more of a like singing background and going into theater? Because of course I would imagine musical theater would be the bridge, but how did that idea even come up for you, as opposed to just building a creative career just out of singing?
Well, because I'm interested in singing as storytelling, and the way that you do that is through a song and through musical theater. So, I started maybe when I was a kid in choirs and stuff, and quickly went into musical theater, and how there has to be a storyline behind what you're singing. We can talk about love or loss or being far away from somebody, but that's really what it comes down to. And so I really think that it's important to be able to tell a storyline through song. I think musical theater sometimes gets a bad rap because people are like, people don't do that in real life. They just break out into song. I do that all the time. All my friends do that all the time. It's not really a far-fetched idea for me. So, it came about with opportunities where basically, you get into one show and then, you hear of everybody else doing another show. Because of that, I've been able to, do a couple of small films with the people that, we're all busy doing one thing and dabbling in all these other things.
Of course.
And here I found my way to you, so it's really kind of cool.
Yeah. Do you find that Vancouver has a lot of these opportunities, like in general? Because a lot of the actors that I've talked to in the past, and specifically actors of color, one of the main things that they'll point out is not only is it like rare to get specifically ethnically driven stories, but just in general, it's just hard out there to get roles. It's hard out there to get work.
Yeah, it's true. I've heard that a lot, and I can see where they're coming from. It hasn't fortunately happened for me. I mean, this is my hobby, my passion, what I love to do. I mean, I have a regular job. So for any working actor, performer, singer, it's going to be an uphill journey. It's really tough. But I have not had a lack of opportunity to be on stage, mostly because, the stories that are out there, the directors that cast me, they don't have a problem casting somebody who you maybe not think of as being an Asian person on stage. So a couple of summers ago, we did, for Theater Under the Stars, we did Hairspray, which is a racially diverse show. It's supposed to be about white people and black people in the 60s. And I was really proud of that show because there was, some black people and also lots of Asian people. And we thought maybe we would get some flack because, they're supposed to be black, but that is Vancouver. There's lots of Asian people. And, we had an awesome time, and it was, we still honored the story there. It was still charged. It was a great show. So for me, it hasn't been a problem finding these roles. I'm also, I think it's just because I've been on stage so much and people have seen me a lot, so they just sort of pick up on it. Like, she can sing, put her in, it's okay.
Well, I find that too. That Filipinos in particular, of course, there's a lot of, most of the time they'll be drawn towards music.
Right.
But if any sort of acting, a lot of them end up going through the route of musical theater. I think because a lot of our greatest role models that have had careers that spanned worldwide were, from musical theater. Like Lea Salonga being, I guess, the number one.
The number one, certainly in my life growing up. It was so awesome seeing somebody so in the spotlight of the world, and she just made it, and she's...
And the thing is, too, for her, she not only, became one of the first Filipino women to make it out there, to have a career worldwide, but she also kind of paved the way. Because if you notice the way that, and this is just me kind of being observant of things that going on in Broadway or also the West End, a lot of the roles that she's done have ended up being cast specifically for people of color as well.
Yeah.
So I think one of the greatest ones that I could take note of was, and this is only because it's been done recently. It's been filmed, and then the film has been distributed widely throughout Canada, and that was Miss Saigon. And we have Rachel Ann Go to actually play Kim, I believe,
Yes,
is the main character. So I haven't watched that show, but I know the legacy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Rachel Ann Go actually, and before that, she ended up being, I believe, Eponine in the West End. I used to go to musical theater training when I was living in the UK.
Cool.
And my teacher was Madame Thenardier.
Oh, wow.
And so she actually ended up working with Rachel Ann Go. So I'll look through my Facebook and I'll be like, oh my gosh, that's a famous person.
Super cool.
But yeah, then you see that happening, and then you end up seeing, like, you know, the directors kind of figure out that, you know, just because something is set in whatever century France, that it can't really that has to be specifically cast by, you know, casting what people that are not of color, you know.
Yeah.
And then you see that in Broadway too, you know, Fontaine being played by the person who originated the role for Mimi in Rent, who herself is Hispanic, which is, like, it's a great thing to see. And I think we're definitely getting there.
Yeah, we are, and you're right about Lea Salonga for sure paving the way. And these people, I've sort of been obsessing over the Mindy Project. You watch the Mindy Project, Mindy Kaling?
No, I haven't.
So she, you know, she's all about, like, you know, her status being like an Indian woman on screen, on TV. She's super successful. She was a writer for The Office, but she talks all the time about, you know, how she wants to have a world where it's not a big deal to have an Indian woman star on her own TV show. And so, yeah, we're certainly getting there. I think it's a good time to be a person of color, you know, in this career, in any career, because I think we're really hyper aware of it and changing, you know, people's assumptions.
Yeah. And I mean, it's for me as well, like, of course I'm in my 20s and still trying to find my way through the world, but I see people of color, like, succeeding, and it's great because for the longest time, whenever people think Asian, they always just usually think East Asian.
Right.
Which is, it's hard to explain to people who aren't familiar with different ethnicities within the Asian groups to be like, actually, no, I'm not. And, like, not to diss anybody that's East
Totally.
Asian, but, like, I'm not East Asian, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, I know. It's a funny thing. Like, Philippines is not technically part of Asia. We're, like, off on this island
It's
here.
weird. And then you'll hear, like, all of those conversations about, are we Pacific Islanders?
Right.
And that's its own, like, different thing because, like, when you talk to Pacific Islanders, you know, they are also quite... They know their history and their background and stuff like that, and to some extent, some Pacific Islander groups don't necessarily identify the Philippines as Pacific Islanders.
Yeah, of course.
So it's kind of like, what are we really?
You know, and it's interesting being, you know, Filipino and in this community where when we started talking about this project, the main thing sometimes is like, oh, well, it doesn't matter if, like, maybe I'm playing a daughter and my parents are white, but for this one, it was like, I don't speak Tagalog. So it was a different kind of, like, removal. Yeah. But, you know, something that worked out.
But it's also been an interesting thing to write around, considering the Filipino identity is very, there's a lot of interaction with other ethnicities as well. Like, there's a big interaction with, like, the North American community. So if we look at the Philippines right now, one of the things that I heard, like, a few years ago that they made it official is that in the Philippines, English is now a second language as opposed to any of the other dialects. So your first language would be Tagalog and then English.
Right.
And in that sense, for example, I would see people on Twitter who are from the Philippines, and one of their complaints is that we use English so much that we can't even speak Tagalog, even if that's the main language of our country.
Wow.
So I would definitely say, like, it is a very unique experience. And with you coming to me being like, oh, I don't actually speak Tagalog, I was just like, but, you know, that's fine because it's part of the story. You know?
Yeah.
That's just the reality of it.
Yeah, I was very happy you were fine with it.
And I mean, even if so, like, I feel like using English isn't so far out of the question, even if it's, like, purely a Filipino role, just because we as Filipinos just use English very widely.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah. I think the one thing that I had to change was that so we cast as well we cast Rich, who is a host of Pinoy Rainbow, as your boyfriend. And the thing is, he has like such like he can speak English so well, but the thing is, he does have a slight intonation with his accents.
Okay.
So I think that was the one thing that I had to be like, I had to rethink the character. I'm just like, okay. Oh man. But with that said, the next couple songs actually deal with the way that I treated the relationship between Marco and Katherine. Where you see Katherine is very much like, she's a very westernized character,
Yes,
right? And then
very.
interacting with somebody who's very in tune with their Filipino identity. And to some people, that's a little alienating sometimes, because it's just like, it's a part of them that's very evident, but that they don't necessarily interact with, right? So this first song that we're gonna play, it's called "Stuck" by Lauren Pritchard, and it's kind of taking from the perspective of how Katherine views her relationship with Marco. And then the next song will be "Firepower" by Bamboo, who used to be the lead singer of River Maya, and that's kind of the inverse, seeing how Marco looks at Katherine, which I think was a really fun thing to play, because they're quite different characters. So and again, for the listeners out there, if you want to listen to the songs that we have today in the show, you can always check out the episode again at coopradio.org, or again, we will have a playlist that we're going to post up on our social media, on Twitter and Instagram at Kahit, Saan Paman. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy.
Do you look forward to me coming home? Do I make it better? I know when I'm traveling on the bus, think of you sweet like dinner. I don't mind all those dopey looks we get, 'cause we stay together. And everybody seems to think there's so much to see, but I think those same people must be jealous of me. 'Cause if I'm stuck, then at least I'm stuck with you. Don't you know that if you're holding on to me, then you better see it through. 'Cause you know, all of my friends trying to wear me down, but they're just plain vanilla.
I can hang these sunburns on, please. She got me picking up bones, that's the whole end of me. Yeah, I'm done pulling punches, won't be all you can be. It's stranger danger, beware about the love from you. She's got some real firepower, check please. Check please. She got some real firepower. She for real, 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 she got some real firepower. She for real. You see, I'm already gone. You see, I'm already gone. You see, I'm already gone. You see, I'm already gone.
You're listening to Jeepney Cafe on 100.5 CFRO Vancouver's Co-op Radio. I would just like to thank our listeners for tuning in today and give a shout out to Kuya John and Faye, who texted me and was just like, "Yo, good job. We're tuning in today," and was like, oh, thank you. I was actually a little nervous starting the show today, but that got me through. And so shout out to Kuya John and Faye. I just want to remind our listeners that our first episode will be premiering. I swear it will be premiering on February 18th. So please tune in at 5:00 p.m. That day on Jeepney Cafe here at 100.5 CFRO Vancouver's Co-op Radio. I also like to thank Jen for coming in to the station with us tonight.
Thank you. It was so much fun.
That's great to hear. Is there anything that you'd like to say to our listeners or any sort of shout outs that you'd like to do?
I don't have any shout outs right now. I don't have any adoring fans yet. No.
I'm sure you do.
No, just what you said. Be sure to tune in. I'm super excited to hear the first episode, so we're all looking forward to it.
Right, because I've been kind of keeping it secret from people. Well, I hope I don't disappoint. There's a little bit of you heighten up expectations too much and then people get let down.
Awesome. Amazing.
It's like, okay, so this year I went to the Vancouver Asian Film Festival and there was a panel about representation in the media. And one of the writers was saying the one thing she was afraid of as an up-and-coming writer was, would it be bad representation? Because, it's cool. I get this avenue that, we're able to give light into the situations that our people have to go through. But then, what if I screw it up? what if it's not a good representation? But the overarching theme of, at least that I've seen within my interactions with creatives here in North America and Vancouver, is that the most important thing is to keep creating. We will get better as a community. The Asian community in North America is still relatively new in comparison to other communities. So it is our time right now. We're seeing a lot of way being paved in regards to television as well. We had, Fresh Off the Boat, which is an amazingly, it was well received by the American public. And also here in Canada, we have Kim's Convenience, which is a great show. If anybody has any time to check that out, it's great. We have a little bit of a way when it comes to movies, but there are some really good filmmakers out there. And now we have the radio, right? Which is a great platform. And also music. I think that's a very important thing, is that a lot of people overlook the diversity in music, because music is such a universal language, regardless of what your background is. If you can write something that touches people, that nobody really cares where you're from or who you are, because it's at the end of the day the product that ends up touching the lives of those who pay attention to it. So the last song that we're actually gonna play today, it kind of touches on that. So 10 years ago, there was this trio of hip hop artists from LA that kind of made a worldwide wave with a party anthem. And it was like a G6, if anybody young enough remembers. Or, somebody my age or mid-20s will remember like their high school years being that song for maybe like a solid month. And they actually came back with a album last year with a whole bunch of collaborations with people from around the world, but most particularly Asia, and it's called Identity. And this song that we're going to play right now really resonated with that idea for me, because they really were trying to bridge the gap for Asian artists into North America. And I mean, at the end of the day, that's kind of what we're looking for, right? We're just looking for avenues that which we can share our stories. And when we have people laying the groundwork for us, then the possibilities are actually just, they're endless. So the song is called Fighter, and it's a collaboration with the American Korean artist named Yoon Mire, or she goes by Tasha whenever she's in America. And yeah, just I hope you guys appreciate this song. But first, a message from Co-op Radio. Sorry about that.
Did you know that Vancouver Co-op Radio CFRO 100.5 FM has over 90 different shows produced by over 350 community members? This wide range of programming produced by our diverse group of programmers ensures that we have a show you'll love. We have shows on feminism, spirituality, disability rights, politics, unions, and parenting. We play jazz, indie rock, reggae, blues, and folk. We broadcast in a dozen different languages and have more First Nations programs than any other radio station in Vancouver. Find your show on Vancouver Co-op Radio, CFRO 100.5 FM. All different, all the time.
.5 means non-commercial,
Call now.
listener powered. Community radio. 100.5 means music.
Fighter, with my back against the wall. Said that you had enough, but you still take my call. I need to know if there's any fight left for us to make it alright. Tell me what's the next step. I'm a fighter. What do you wanna do now? You a fighter? Whatever you gotta go through, fighter. Baby, it's up to you. Whatever you wanna do, I'm down with it. Fighting for ya till the end. We'll keep on trying like a fighter. Knock us down, but we're survivors for love. Till the end, we'll keep on fighting. Fighter, fighter, fighter.
Them not have no hope in a system where them can't plan to cope. In an island where them turn sun to coke and then transform that in a crack to smoke. Yard one of some sample folk. Outside and a go on.